Are we on?
We are now, as far as I'm concerned.
We're on.
I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. We'll begin by having a moment of silence. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order, and if you would, we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor Kim here at the network.
Here.
Here.
Councilman Steve White. Councilman Debbie Young. Present. Councilman Bert Curtis.
Yeah.
Intern City Manager, Finance Manager Joe Solberg. City Attorney Brian Bailey. Mike Cody.
Here.
Chief Jim Settle. Building Code Zoning Enforcement Officer Marty Lewis. Street Commissioner Mike Barrett. Sanitary Director D. Evans.
Okay, under the visitors section, first we have James Connor from First Energy. Hi.
Introduce myself. So I'm with our External Affairs Department. I came up, I know I talked to Marty last month when we do, but so anything that has to do with power company related, I'm your go-to person. So in External Affairs, I deal with the elected officials, county, city, chambers of commerce. I cover a 10-county area though, so Lewis is pretty much in the middle of my territory. I go from Elkins, Randolph County, clear over to Wood County, and counties, pretty much Route 50. I cover Route 50 and Route 33. That's pretty much my territory. But so anything that happens in Weston that deals with power company, you have issues, you can bring it to me. I know I've dealt with Nate a lot, so whether you pick the Nate or Tim or whoever it is, how you want to give it to me. I know I've left cards and stuff at the office, so you have my contact information. If anybody needs more information, I think I'll let you card as well. So if anybody has any issues that comes up, I just want to make myself available and be here for whenever you need something. So if I don't have the answer, I'll try to get the answer for you and come up with something, but just to help make it easy for us. And the only issue I think I have right at the moment on street lighting, I started this with Nate, and I did provide him with a map of all of our pole locations at the city limits. I don't know if he's done anything with that yet, but he was going to take it and put it on CAD or something like that. Okay. So you would have our pole numbers and locations, and then for street lights. But right now we are going to start a repair upon failure. So when a street light in the city fails, we're going to replace it with an LED. So I think we decided to go with 50-watt LEDs throughout all the residential areas, and then we said either 90s or 130s depending on the size of the intersection. Today, actually, our line supervisor called and asked me if I could talk to you all. I said, so half of them will go to the city council tonight. And they were wanting to know if possibly, and if we need to talk about this later, Marty, or whatever, we're going with either 90 or 130, because they said if they're going to have to start stocking the trucks that drives around, so when they come up on the light, they grab one out of the back. If they have too many types, it just might take a little bit longer. I'm not saying you have to go to this for this. They're just asking if we can come up with because I know we have some 90s and 130s installed in the town now. Look at those and just say, yeah, maybe it's a possibility just to go with one or the other. But anyway, I just brought that up, and I'll deal with Marty or Nate or whoever we'll have to deal with on that. But otherwise, I'm just here mainly just to introduce myself and let you know I'm here available if you need anything. That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming. Herb has a question.
Yes,
An update on the project on Main. You have any information on that, or as far as how we're going to start out the process?
I don't. I just so I haven't really been involved in it. I just know that it's happening, and so we'll deal with our engineering department. But if what we need me to get something. I don't know who, George Lockman is our engineering supervisor for Weston. And I'm probably dealing with one of the lines engineering designers. You know, Marty?
My last update through Austin Coastal was that it's at engineering and they're working out what all they need because they have to upgrade transformers on the two back alleys and that kind of stuff.
So Austin is that line engineering designer. So, if it's in engineering, I can try to find out more for you, but I'm sure that,
No,
so
that's okay.
that's what he would be doing right now is estimating it, putting a cost together. I think they may have given you a preliminary cost. So, but I would imagine, this is a guess, that once he takes it all the way through engineering, it will still a final cost to say. Narrow it down, because it'd be higher or lower possibly than what he told you. I'm just guessing at that, but we need to get a hold of him and try to update that and do that as well.
They've been pretty responsive to them when I asked them where we stand. It's in engineering or whatever stage we're at. So they've been, and we have got a check for the engineering cost.
Okay. So a lot of times with an
They're
engineer,
just having enough of something.
I can try to get that for you. An update on that.
Great.
I'll get that for you.
Thank you again. Oh,
Jay, I think Mike's there at Street Commission. We've been working on this probably about 6 months, maybe a little longer. We have some boulders in the sidewalks and stuff where they come in and reset. And we have debris around them and the dirt stuff is still piled up. In places like it, are you the gentleman I could hope?
We came in that, because I know we have been working right now to try to make the city of Weston a vendor, you know, so. And I don't know, I could have to check where we're at on that process, but once we make you a vendor, you sort of know what you want it to look like, and we can say, hey, vendor, go out and fix this for the city of Weston, which we're actually talking to the city of Weston if we make a vendor, and that way we can pay you to do our cleanup work until you're liking. So we are working on that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? All right.
Thank you. So what, the water committee's not here?
I don't know what. No, they aren't, he said.
Okay.
Freddie Potter, an Anstead native, but we'll have you.
My email address says I'm the Anstead kid. I'm the only person in the United States that's got that much of the town of Anstead in my email address. First of all, let me thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. About a year ago, I appeared before you, telling you about a fundraising program that I had put together under the direction of Lewis County First, for the purpose of getting some new transport carts for the high school, so that they could use them to take people that need a ride up the hill to a football game or a soccer game. That worked out very well. And city council here was very kind to us. They gave us $1,000 and it went a long way to helping with that. And we're back at it. Except this time, our benefactor is going to be the Lewis County Emergency Squad. They saw what we did up there. A couple of the paramedics came over to me one time when I was putting an advertising sticker on one of these carts and wanted to drive it around. I wanted to take it and look at it to see if it could be converted into a medical cart. If you go to a football game here at the high school, if you're up on the bleachers and you look down where the football team is, you will see a medical cart parked there on the sidelines. Well, they use that to take care of an injured football player, take them off the field, take them to the ambulance or down every field to the dressing room. And the emergency squad would like to have one of these, okay? Now, I had prepared a packet for everyone, it just didn't make it here. What we're looking at is a cost factor and it's a cost savings. To replace the cart, the emergency squad currently has, okay? Get one like that, runs about $31,000. Okay, and it's good for what it does, but it's got limited use for what the squad would like to have it for. We can get them a new one for about half that price. Okay, and The manufacturer that I'm referring to is Green Machines located in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. They made the other ones that we got. And you would have to pay a lot of money to retrofit the current cart that they have with features that come standard on the cart from Green Machines. And once football season is over, the emergency squad takes that cart that they have at the high school. They bring it back down here because they like to take it through the Jubilee and to other social events where you have large numbers of people that gather. And quite often they're senior citizens, you get people that get exposed to too much heat, whatever, they become weak, become ill, and we need transported somewhere on the ground. The features that we're talking about that come standard on this card. One is four-wheel drive, push button four-wheel drive mechanism on this car. A locking rear differential, rear end, and most of you gentlemen know what that means. A low gear rate, okay? Heavier suspension and frame, a 450 cubic centimeter gasoline engine. Now, another reason that the car is needed by the emergency squad. Here in the county, they're developing a rails to trails program as far as run. What I understand from Morgantown all the way to Charleston. Now, we're only going to cover a few miles of that. But they're developing some hiking trails down at the lake. They're developing some hiking trails at the Lewis County Park. And so that's what they need something like this for. Where you can't get a conventional vehicle in. You know, God forbid somebody walking around up there on the hill at Lewis County Park and run onto a timber rattler. But those things like that do happen. People do wreck their bicycles and they get injured. And this will help them out in those instances. And if the money is good, I'm going to try to get them two parts. One that they can keep up at the high school on an extended basis. One that they can keep here in town for the social events, like what's the thing that you guys do at Christmas time? Miracle on Main Street? Yes, little events like that. All right. Now, we're seeking funding from other sources as well. And one of the sources we're talking to is Mon General, Stonewall Jackson Hospital. They would like to partake in part of this because they would like to use it at some of the social events where they can put up a canopy and a table and whatever and have a little blood pressure clinic, like at some of these events. Okay, and if they have some money invested into this park, they would like to have it available for things like that. But it's going to take some more than what I requested from them. So, like before, I'm going to keep it modest and see if you guys can come up with $1,000 for this project. And again, it's under the heading of Lewis County First. Address hasn't changed. Okay. Our treasurer sitting back here, still the same old sweet guy. Okay.
Is he bonded?
Okay. Now, in this packet that we should have, there's a picture of a cart similar to the one that's in use. All right. Now, the one that they have is about 25 years old. And it would cost more repairs than it would be to buy a new one. They're very similar. And if they get a new one, it's got like a year's warranty on it, and it should last for the next 12 to 15 years, if not longer, properly taken care of. And I'd like to see the squad get this. They could use it. I'd like to see them get two. And I've become friends with the manufacturer in Missouri. I get no commission on this. I get nothing from this other than just to be able to help out the community. Now, when you get your packet, once you get back to the city hall, there's a letter here in this packet from James Taylor, who is the director of the emergency squad here. Mr. Taylor, the way is from Anstead, West Virginia. Okay. He's a very good man. He's a very intelligent man. He knows good at what he's doing. But in his letter, he talks about the necessity of replacing this part. One, due to age and the cost of repairs. We can take this part and convert it over to a medical cart. We can put a stretcher on it. And as you all know, Lewis County High School was developed on 4 different elevations. You have to transition from one to the other. And the cart that they currently use has a hard time making the hill from the maintenance area up to the football field. They also want to make it available for track meets later on in the spring. All right, and that's an issue that the squad is going to have to work out with Lewis County High School. But the asking price on this part is under $15,000. Now, we have 2 very similar to this, okay, already at the high school, and they were 2 of the ones that we bought last year, right? These newer models are 2 years newer. They've made some modifications on it. They've made some changes with some of the electronics or the electrical systems in it. They've upped the suspension a little better so that you can haul more weight. And they're gonna last longer. They're more reliable. And so I'm going to get them one way or the other, but I could really use your help. So you don't have to tell me tonight. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But if you need time to think it over, that would be fine. Now, the letter that I have prepared for you, that's in your packet, has a statement in here. As soon as I find it. Oh, yes, we ask that you consider a contribution of $1,000 for any amount you consider appropriate and affordable to your budget. So depending on how deep your pockets are, we take more if you have it. But I think that this $1,000 is fair, okay? So, and if you don't have it, if you need to consider less, that's okay. That's not a problem.
Pardon? I can't hear.
Can you get your money out?
Sure.
I'm right here. Can we go ahead and vote on it this evening?
I think we need to ask Joe. I mean, Joe knows our finances.
Oh, no, that's. Uh-huh. Oh, my God.
Here you go.
I'll make a motion to give $1,000 to the project.
Been moved in second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Freddie.
Thank you for everything you do,
Thank you
Freddie.
all very much. Carrie's good. And it's a football game.
I do.
Carrie and her mother know all too well. With comfort, have a new machine, drive from the parking lot of the high school up to the football field, and then back down after the game is over. This past year at the high school, we transported as many people in the 5 home football games this year as we did the last 3 years.
Wow.
I think as a result, I think there are some citizens who do not feel comfortable attending those games. And now they feel comfortable getting up the hill because those carts are readily available. There are several of them. And I see a lot of people actually using them. And I think with the Rails to Trails coming and through the county, I can see the need for a 4-wheel drive emergency vehicle. Thank you.
Thanks.
When you get your packet, you will find my phone number. Both my phone numbers, my email address on the packet. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me.
Mhm.
I'm usually in town at a Lewis County first meeting or some other function here quite often. So I'd be more than glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have minutes from regular and special session in your packet. If there are no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept as distributed.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, reports of city boards, commissions, and outside agencies. Cemetery Board meeting, the next one, April 15th at 4. Historic Landmarks Commission, March 13th at 6. The Planning Commission, the 12th at 4:30. Lewis County EDA, March 26th at 5 p.m. here at the courthouse. The Tree Commission, March 27th at 3 p.m. The Arts Council, March 11th at 5:30. Land Reuse Agency, March 24th at 6 p.m. Neighborhood Watch, March the 6th at 6 p.m. And Lewis Gilmer Solid Waste Authority, April 16th at 6:30 p.m. And we are still needing to fill Board of Zoning Appeals, 1 position and 1 alternate. Next, Sanitary Board report.
Good evening. You'll have my report. I'll just add a couple things to that. The annual PSC report has been submitted that we are required to report to each year. And the new rates were billed in February. Actually, I'm gonna say we hadn't received anything negative from that whatsoever. Most of the comments were they were surprised that we didn't have them raised every year like every other utility and every other telephone, every other TV, every other utility. They were just surprised that we didn't raise ours as often as they did. And so they weren't surprised then to see ours come through. So we really didn't receive anything negative, honestly, at all about that. Like that, haven't received anything negative about the move. We are over to City Building, and I just want to thank all the staff over at the City Building for all the work that you guys did to make it accommodating for us and getting us moved over there. And you guys have been awesome to get us over there. All the computers and desks were moved over this weekend, and a lot of our stuff. There's still some things that we've got to move over there, but we were up and running today. Phones will be switched over sometime this week, I understand. And people have been super excited about that too. The customers are really, really happy about that move. So, and we are too. We really are. I appreciate everything that was done for us over there. I really do. Anything else? Any questions you guys might have? I'll be glad to answer. Otherwise, our meeting's next Monday at 4:30, and you guys are always invited. Can't think of anything other than that that's outstanding other than what's in the report, though, unless you have any questions.
I do not.
I do not.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dee.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay, next finance report.
Bank website is down on the first half of the day today. So you have the bank statements in there, but the reports you have are not reconciled reports. But despite that, I have a couple of bits of good news to report. One is, I've been watching the municipal fee collections because we had 2 things this year that we didn't pass. One being the rates and then 2 being the due date. So that made it really hard to track where we were on progress in terms of collections, and it looked like we were behind on collections for a while. And this month is the first month where I can see clearly that we're on track for collections. So we expect to be collecting about 50% more than the past. Because of the due date change. And then this is the first month where we can clearly see that we're right about that 50% mark past where we have been. So that's good news. The other good news is last month was a staggeringly good month for past due collections. I think we collected several $1,000s in past due municipal fees. A lot of other past due fees last month. It was a hot enough, people wanted building permits, and they wanted to sell their house and get their liens off. So unless you have any questions, I think that's the good segue into the vacant structures transfer, which I think is probably the best vacant structure transfer we've ever had.
Mhm.
Do you have any general questions about finances? Vacant structures report is on page 18. Cash flow reflected 8,450.
So we have some now. For instance, the 7-Eleven has set us in 1,000 per quarter, right? Okay. Thank you.
We need to transfer this.
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to transfer $8,450 to vacant structures fund.
So
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Detail report is on page 19 of the packet.
Mm-hmm.
19.
I move to approve the check detail report for February.
Okay, it's been moved in second to approve the check detail report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
2 dates coming up for next, for fiscal year 2026 budget. The first date we did set, the second date we don't. The third Tuesday in April is always the day that the state expects us to officially lay the levy, so that'll be April 15th this year. But in March, sometime between the 7th and the 28th, we have to get together to pass levy estimate. So that's the first draft of budget document. I think this year, it would be worthwhile to have, so that happens at a special session. I think this year, it would be worthwhile to have a work session followed by a special session. And then anticipate that there might be changes before it. The reason I say that is just because this stuff we're having around public works department and non-emergency ambulance services and things, I think that there's gonna be a lot of things that are worth just having an open discussion about before we get to April. So it would be really helpful. So we need to pick a date sometime between March 7th and 28th for that first meeting. It would be really helpful to me if it were later in that time frame. I was hoping for maybe the 24th, if you all are open to that Monday.
Does that look good for everybody?
Whatever's convenient for you.
What time?
I like 4:30.
Great. Okay,
And so I think what we'll plan on then is a work session at 4:30, followed by a special session at 5:30.
okay.
You know. There is no 4:30 a.m.
Okay, are we good, Joe, with your report then?
If you don't have any other questions for me, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, street department.
Reports in the packet. You got any questions? I'll be happy to answer them. Anything, only other thing I have is certainly make quits.
Is what?
So,
Oh, Any-
I'll work on, I'll work on tomorrow. Hot patching out of kids from the water, so we're gonna start working on that. Whole patching is well, we can do a lot more hot patch, so we're starting that tomorrow. To wait on.
go ahead.
Have you heard anything about or got an update on the hole around the water meter there at the intersection of Good Mark and East Third and Center?
That is with the state road. I can talk to Mackenzie on that, see what they're wanting to do with that.
I mean, it's been months.
Yeah.
People's beating their cars to death in that thing.
Again, you know, well, if I do that, not our road, but I will
Right.
speak with him in the morning about, and if he wants us to fix it, we're calling small loads of like not patch or like not patching. Happy to help out.
Just charge the state for it.
We can. I'll speak with him in the morning.
Thank you.
Does the city have that metal grate down on Court Street?
Yeah. Mayor, what we done, we painted a white line all the way around it, so we can keep watching it. It did open up today, we moved it back in the spot.
Okay,
But, when we drive by, we make sure it's still within that white line. That way we know we're still covering the manhole. But somebody went through it, I don't know exactly for sure, but it was made out of a hot metal instead of the regular metal. So it did finally take long and salt and stuff worked on it. We are trying to make our manholes better. But what's in there is obsolete. And I think I spoke with the sanitary board, spoke with D on all of that, and there's nothing down there at all that I can use. So either we're gonna have to make one or cut that section out and put in a different manhole cover. Complete.
Wasn't that water?
It's storming.
Okay.
it's noisy.
It is.
Mhm.
Right, Amy, don't take any of your place.
I hear you. I wondered what happened there.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any other questions for Mike?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Police Department.
Been a little busy. Thank you.
Thanks for taking my late night calls. I appreciate it. Okay, Fire Department.
Thank you.
So it hasn't gone out of committee? Nothing? Okay. What about the bill for increased funding for fire departments?
I don't think that bill's gonna go anywhere either. It's just for our state money. So whenever we're gonna make us go to this new checkbook thing, it's help offset the cost for that. So our state money will have to go through. So all that, it's a big checkbook. It has to be started July. I think it's first of 2026.
Okay.
It's just for our state funds.
It's a new way of tracking.
Correct.
And then I noticed where the audit process would be different possibly through the legislative auditor's office. Okay, I just wondered where that was. I thought that, who is it that performed the audits for the fire department? Okay, because I thought every fire department was supposed to get an audit at least once every 5 years. Okay. Questions for Chief Settle? Thank you.
Thank you.
Building code zoning and cat report.
The rep reports in there, cat report is not in there. Joe and I had a short discussion, there's gonna be some further discussion. Probably discuss all that.
Sure.
Okay.
But Joe and I didn't have further discussion.
That's
Good, yeah. I don't want them to get. We should be, I've got 2 of the 3 contracts back on the demo contractor so far. They're just waiting for their DEP permits. So I would say probably within the next couple of weeks, we can start seeing the demos take place.
That was really nice during that grant cycle that you posted where you were going to be working at, what was going to be demoed on Facebook.
That was nice.
That's nice for not only us, but for residents in that area too.
Yeah, but I try to get them off on the board. Too, like, things gotta be effective around here for a couple of days, so they're not surprised.
Well, it's nice that you do that, Marty.
Thank you.
I have a question. On the vacant building structures, how many structures do we have that are not paying anything? Approximately.
I don't know that well, but, probably. If I just have to take a look, yes, I'm probably 25 to 30. I've got 3 pages of, that we did 3 of them, and some of them take that, sometimes somebody can get a page up, so they want to get a permit, or something, or whatever, or change the hand. You know, to go through the obviously, I got to release things, that kind of stuff. Or one may become occupied for, so.
I was just wondering because it's like these people are paying, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then those people aren't paying and. I don't
Right,
know.
and, we get, of course, we have our procedure, we bill us, and when they get to the point where we can lien them, I place a lien on them.
Can we bring them into municipal court? Is this something we could
We have,
bring in?
the option of that, or we have the option of
think
collections.
I was gonna say, I think magistrate court, you can also take them to magistrate court. And that's something that this city has not exercised in a long time. It's not something I'm opposed to. But I think for whatever reason, at some point in the past, folks decided that that was the least, I can't think what the word is. Well, okay, just to be candid, Susie told me we don't go to magistrate court anymore. It's too much time, and you never know what mood they're going to be in, and so it's just too unreliable. If magistrate's mad at the city that day, then they find out of your favor, and then now you're done. You had something before because you had a lien and you had everything, and now you're done. You have everything because they found out of your favor. So she felt that it was risky to go to court. But I think the flip side of that is as I understood those stories and they continue to unfold, I think good documentation was really a pressing point for the court. And that's something that we have a lot of now. So I think we're probably more prepared than ever to exercise that muscle again, but it's been one that we've been reluctant to do for several years, I think.
We have different map districts.
Yeah.
Too.
And that's helpful too.
And I think they're pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was just wondering, 'cause I know one person on here and I know that if they are paying it, and I know they probably cannot afford. Probably sacrificing to pay this.
You know, I spoke with that person the other day, or something on site.
Quick question, Marty. As far as up on the corner of my ward, I know I have a couple of vacant structures in my ward. The old United Nations Bank. Is it still belong to Joe? Is it been sold or what's going on with that?
As far as I know, it's still listed with him. Last we worked on the deed part and stuff, it was still listed.
It's probably, he doesn't have an active building permit, right?
Now, when he came into the office, met with me and Nate, and he stuck somebody in an office over there, so it wasn't technically vacant.
It's never open.
I don't want to say it for another day.
Yes.
Yeah, something I usually say.
Okay.
Okay, next city attorney report. Thank you, Marty.
I've had to juggle various legal things with the city that I'm not necessarily permitted to say right now. And to kind of piggyback onto Chief Settle, I'm gonna say petitioned, but I tried to get in contact with the esteemed Speaker of the House of Representatives concerning House Bill 2866 and the gutting, if you will, of the city's ability to charge fire fees. And I don't know if that got anywhere, or is going anywhere, or if you even saw it, but we're we're trying to maintain some kind of ability to charge for the services that we're being asked to perform, if you will. But other than that, I don't have anything that some of this stuff in old business and new business probably needs to, I probably need to fall on the sword for it when we get to tabling it, but we can talk about that when we get there.
Brian, I know that you've had a million things to do and it just keeps piling up. I shudder to ask you about our codification.
Oh, not happening. Not happening. Huh?
That's not.
Okay,
I'll.
all right. I kind of thought that we were close. I mean, except for the edits that we made when we met. Okay. No pressure. Okay. City clerk, you have the February business license report in the packet. Okay, interim city manager report.
Right, I have a few things to share with you. This month, my focus was largely on getting the sanitary board over, so we could try and get that, what I'll call it a project, we can try and get that project wrapped up. It's been kind of hanging out there for a while, so they had their first operational day in the city building today. They still have the other space rented for the next month. So we're going to take the next couple of weeks and get the rest of the stuff over. And hopefully by the end of this month, we have that wrapped up. And that's working well. And then I think the next half of that is the public works stuff. And I've kept Brian as preoccupied as I can with public works stuff this month, as we've been discussing what that might look like. The riverfront project, by the end of this month, we should be receiving some concepts from Kimley Horn. And then the next step then is Kimley Horn engaging in an environmental review for us. And then as long as by the end of summer, we can all be on the same pages on what phase one of the riverfront project looks like, Kimley Horn thinks that we can begin the first steps of construction in fall of this year. Because the next, once we get that environmental review done, then we've checked every box to start drawing down those federal funds and start construction. So timeline there is we're looking at fall of this year to start on the riverfront. Something we've done for the last couple of years in response to Hubcap is what we've called City Meeting Day. And Hubcap has asked that city meeting day be set this year on April 24th at 6 p.m. We don't yet have a venue. At some point, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Rogers if she'll see about getting West Hall.
I'll do
Um,
that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes.
But we don't have that set yet. But it's been in March in the past. We moved it back a little bit this year just to make it a little bit easier with everything else going on. But we'll have city meeting day again on April 24th. In the same vein as watching the things in the legislature, there's two bills in the legislature that I think we can be excited about as a municipality and extend support to our delegation down there for. The first is Senate Bill 234, which changes the threshold for property dispensation from municipalities. Since about the mid 1960s, the threshold has been $1,000. So anything worth more than $1,000, we have to auction off. Worth less than $1,000, we have a lot more freedom. And that has resulted in, I think, more lately than ever, things that ought to go in the dumpster not going in the dumpster because we're saying, oh boy, maybe we're supposed to auction this off. We don't know what it's worth. But they're looking to adjust that for inflation from the last time it was adjusted in the mid 60s. And that would be really helpful as a municipality. That bill also slightly changes how municipalities can dispense with property. So right now, municipalities are basically auctioning off every single piece of real estate they have because every piece of real estate they have is worth more than $1,000. When they adjust it for inflation and make that threshold around 10,000, they also want to allow municipalities to choose to create a small auction pool of only adjacent landowners to a property and then allow only the adjacent landowners to bid. That's not necessarily a freedom that we need because we have a more powerful tool that we use, which is the LRA. But that's certainly something we can get behind as giving municipalities more freedom, and we want to support that. The other is House Bill 2044, which came from our own delegate, which would allow a municipality to exit PEIA and come back for the next 5 years. So if you've listened to me complain about PEIA, this has been my chief complaint is that when you're a non-state agency, you don't have any freedom to try things. And they've heard that complaint and they're going to try to fix it for us. I don't have any plan of what we might try. I thought my complaining would fall on deaf ears forever.
We may all be
So-
trying to call and say trying to
I
do all
know.
stuff.
Well, I will say that the folks who read the political tea leaves say, don't worry about
I know,
that.
I did. It's just-
But there is potential that we may have some freedom to get creative and try some different things. And if we don't like them, then we don't have to stick with them. So it would be nice to have that freedom as well. I think that's all I have for the interim city manager update. Unless there's any specific questions you have for me.
Any updates on the Columbia Club?
I don't really have any updates on the Columbia Club. During our work session, so the
Yeah. Nate said he thought that was a vendor wanting to,
Oh,
I didn't realize that.
Um,
I didn't either. I'm sorry. Someone
That's okay.
reached out to him and I.
Mhm. Zach,
was-
somebody, I thought he was with the project, but
I did too. And
okay.
but he was very creative. I think he was a salesperson.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I think the
Yeah.
Historic Marks Commission has recently appointed what will be a touch person for that project. Am I correct in thinking that's
Yep.
spring?
mhm.
So that's an update on that. And so I think my next step is I need to get together in a room with Kim and Spring and probably get Anna Cardelli on the phone and just figure out where we're at and what the next steps are. And I think that part of that discussion is probably also going to come up in the work session for the budget because that earmark has been funneled down to us now through the USDA. which has changed the terms a little bit from what we initially thought they were, which means there's going to be a match requirement on that. I think for most of that, and I'm going to be candid, I've held off telling you that as a council for quite some time because I was seeing how creative we can be to get most of that covered before I come to you and tell you that we're going to need a little bit of money to make this happen. And I think we can get better than half of it covered through other grants and other auspices. But I still think that we're going to be looking at the city probably needing to find $100,000 to make that project happen all the way. And if that's something we want to do, probably the best route we have is to use the USDA. The USDA offers to provide that match for you, basically in the form of an interest of a mortgage that is at a subprime rate. So I think their rate recently was like 4%. So $100,000, and they do that up to 40 years. So $100,000 over 40 years at 4% is probably the most affordable way to approach that. So the total required match was something around $250,000
That's
after
for
that.
the earmark from management.
Yeah. So the way when we submitted the earmark, we submitted it for about $1 million. And then they said, we've awarded that to you.
And it clearly said at that time, no match required.
And they said no match. And this was the first year that earmarks were brought back after earmarks had gone away. So earmarks had like not been around for 10 years, and then they brought them back. And there were a few idiosyncrasies that Congress didn't quite have right. And so we asked for $1 million. They said, yes, $1 million, no earmark. And then they finally said, oh, we can't just give you the money. We have to funnel it through an existing grant program. And they chose the USDA's Community Facilities Program. And then they said, you will have to meet all the guidelines set by the Community Facilities Program, which includes X amount of match. And so now the narrative has shifted to here's $1 million earmark to you have $1 million project. We're going to bring $750,000 to the table. You need to bring the other 250,000. So I've told you I've purposely held off telling you this, and the reason I've done that is because we've been seeing is how many dominoes can we set up to try to get as much of this covered as possible. And we've got about $150,000 in the pipeline towards that $250,000 needed match. So I don't know that we're going to be able to run those last
And
several.
this is just to put the facade on.
No, this
The whole
Do we
building.
have enough?
It's the whole building.
is for the whole building.
Okay, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying the facade. I would just love to see some kind of facade put on there to cover up the eyesore at this point.
Yeah. So
But didn't we have an architecture bid out for that?
Mhm.
mhm. Yeah, so at this point, we have to have the entire match set aside in a separate bank account before they'll give us any money to
Can
do
I ask,
anything.
when did we know about needing the match?
Yeah, that's fair. I want to say last summer.
So we could have used possibly ARPA money to help. put up
We
for
we
that.
could have, yeah. And I'll
I mean, that's
I
not.
don't
I'm
want to
just
say too
saying,
much, but
that's-
I'll say I think we didn't feel like that was somewhere we really wanted to sink that.
I get you, but I would just
Um,
like to see it completed at some. point.
Yeah,
But you're saying there's potential now that we have a mortgage on it?
yeah, I think that's probably, I think that we're gonna probably need, if we want to see this project through, I think we're gonna need to come up with $100,000. I think that's hard for us to come up with all at once in 1 year. But one of the things USDA offers is we can, and it's really not a mortgage, it's a loan, but I'll call it a mortgage because I think that makes the most sense. USDA will let you meet your match with a loan from USDA. And it's, like I said, it's a subprime rate. So I think last I talked to them, it was around 4%. And then you can stretch that anywhere between 10 and 40 years. So, I mean, that can be as little as, probably $10,000 a year. Which I think is probably the most feasible option right now. And that's a long-term investment. I mean, that's not like we're, buying a piece of equipment or something, and stretching it out that long. I think that's a building that'll serve the community for many decades to come, hopefully. Um,
I know you've got a lot on your plate as well, Joe, but
Mhm.
could we get that meeting set up soon?
Yeah.
With Anna? And perhaps there's other avenues that we can approach
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah, no, I think we can continue exploring. Like I said, we wanted to try and find every dollar and bring you solutions and not bring you problems. And I think we found more than half of it at this point. Um, but yeah, I think that's still the goal, is to find every dollar we can and bring you solutions. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Is that all you had, Joe?
I think so.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve all of the department reports.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, consideration of handbook policy update on conflict of interest. I think I read where you have not had the opportunity to contact.
Well, I've reached out,
Oh, okay.
but I haven't heard back, and to be fair, I haven't followed up. So yeah, I have not had a chance to talk to Steptoe Johnson. So I would ask the council table this again.
I'll move the table.
I'll second. It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, consideration of purchase of ambulance for non-emergency pickups.
So you have this information in your packet. We didn't expect to bring you something this quickly related to this. But we've had prices out there. We knew about what it was going to cost, and then all of a sudden we had an opportunity to get a really good deal. And Jimmy knows that a little bit better than I do, so I'll let him speak to that a little bit.
Ambulance, used ambulance, the dog was running, we're getting it up, they got 2 brand new ones. They're even fully equipped, ready to go. That price, we figured, well, if we just get started, get through the first 3 or 4 months, and if something happens, it doesn't work out, we're not out. I talked to Joe, I'm pretty sure I'll.
So this is coming out of your budget?
Probably.
Yeah, and he can float it.
Okay.
And explain to him that I call it the chicken or the egg thing, where you can't apply to be like an ambulance service without having your equipment. You can't have your equipment with it,
Do they understand that now better?
Whatever talk to him.
Okay.
I think just so you all understand what happens after this, I guess, and know the full picture, is probably at some point in the near future, the fire department's going to be looking at hiring a couple more firefighters. And they would be hired as firefighters, but like many of our firefighters, they would be cross-trained as EMTs. But I think the way Jimmy's looking at executing that right now is hiring them as I'm sorry, no, I shouldn't say hiring them, contracting them, bringing them in as contractors. just so that we can get a few months under our belt of this and get everything running, get it working, trying it out. So uh, the only thing that maybe might the thing that might come to you after this, I mean, I guess it depends how we would approach it. The thought right now, like I said, is to hire them as firefighters, cross-train them as EMTs, and then kind of have these folks assigned to running these non-emergency calls so that the firefighters can be ready to run firefighter calls. But we're probably looking at creating more EMT heavy positions in the future. So there'll probably be ordinances related to that, creating EMT positions. But the fire department does not need a particular ordinance to operate this service. It's something that's within their scope of work, the same way the street department doesn't need an ordinance to go out and weed eat. You know, this is just something that's within the scope of work, so they can do that. So I say that to say, if you move forward with this today, then I think that's the definitive approval we're looking for, that we're moving forward with this program. And so I don't want you to think in 3 months, well, my gosh, they didn't bring us anything to review. They just went forward and did it. I think this is us asking you for formal permission to move forward with this program. So
You say hire private contractors, are you?
So we would contract drivers, so I'm not paying a driver 40 hours a week to sit there.
As needed, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be adding the drivers. So
Okay.
we'll just get 1099 until we can get our feet wet and get.
See if it works.
See
and
if
see if
see
we-
how it's rolling with it there. We're not using as much of my budget as possible, so it's that little bit.
Yeah, and that passes the IRS
Yes.
20 question test? Okay,
Just same as we do.
okay.
The only thing we're kind of wishy-washy about is the hiring of EMT. We may have to do an ordinance or something for EMT position in the fire service or something. But I'll
Okay.
know more about that once we call the state and how they want it set up, so.
All right. Okay, so. Do you have questions? Okay,
Concerns?
all right. Are we ready to take action on the purchase of ambulance for non-emergency services through the fire department's budget?
Go ahead. No, I can't find that. I can't find the right page. I mean,
You just say, I know.
I know, I know.
Where's the cost?
That's what I was looking for.
It's on the country.
yeah, I would say you're going to be
Acquisition cost?
on page 100 of the packet. You're going to be approving the acquisition cost and the term and the rate and the payment.
I'll move, the city of Weston Fire Department to purchase the ambulance with the acquisition cost of $70,328 for a term of 5 years. Payment monthly payments, interest rate 6.29%. Payment $1,417.27.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Herb Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Consideration of purchasing fireworks in the amount of $10,000 for the 4th of July.
That's just the same amount we had last year.
I think that was very nice last year.
That's not my budget.
Saying, and we didn't cut that from the budget. It's still there. So.
Purchase fireworks and $10,000 for 4th of July celebration.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of ordinance 2025-03, creating public works.
I'm going to ask you to table this one. We don't have an ordinance ready for you yet tonight. We're hoping to, but we would rather get it right than get it fast.
Okay,
What I will say about this though is I think with your blessing tonight, we'd like to move forward with the street department hiring another street laborer, with the understanding that that person is going to transition into some sort of utility foreman in the future under the future organization of the Public Works Department. So I think that's something that I'd like to hear your feedback on tonight. If you feel comfortable enough with, I mean, you don't have the details in front of you because we're trying to get the details right. But I think we've had general discussions about this. So I'd like to know if you're comfortable enough moving forward with hiring another street laborer, believing that this is the system we're moving forward with.
you have that labor position in the budget, right?
Yeah, I think we can make it work, and it's most of it will be reimbursed from the sanitary board. I mean, every hour that's spent on sanitary things will be reimbursed from the sanitary board. And the intention is that that would be their full-time attention would be on sanitary board projects. So there's not really expected to be much budget impact. But there might be a little bit of budget impact. I mean, I think your street commissioner is going to have the liberty to pull them where they need them. So if they've done 32 hours for sewer this week but we need 8 hours help on streets, then we're only getting reimbursed 32 hours from sanitary board and the other 8 hits the general fund. But I think the thought right now, and I think this will hold true, is that over the course of the year, those moving people around will wash out. Because there'll be times that we got to have a few extra guys on sanitary stuff, times that we have a few extra guys on street stuff. And the intention is to make sure that that's a wash at the end of the year. So
We don't have an action item for that on the agenda, but
You
it's
don't.
certainly within your
I said,
purview.
I think it's
to-
within my purview to do it. I just
Yes,
don't want to do it without,
he would like a little
yeah,
feedback.
like a little feedback.
Oh, I'm good with it. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys know what you need and
Okay.
Okay, a motion
we
do,
did.
No, you don't need a motion. Well, you need a motion to
To
table
table.
the ordinance. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll move the table.
Is there a second?
Oh, John, I'm sorry.
Debbie second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, discussion of paving streets and wards.
All right. Well, I gave you all your homework on Friday. So I hope you follow through, and I'm gonna let the street commissioner lead the discussion.
Don't take down in the wards of the streets. I know we were going to do some spring paving on different streets that you all wanted. But these are the streets that are in that's horrible conditions since we've had this snow and the freeze that we've had. And I labeled some of those that are down to where we're just down the mud. And all your blacktop was crumbled and it went to pretty well much nothing. And the salt got down in underneath the blacktop and worked on the mud and it's just nothing but space. So I called in JF Allen. And last week we went around and looked at all these. And it's gonna be quite expensive to take care of some of these problems that we have. I suggest that that's why I asked you to go out there and look at them. And kind of let me know which streets is in your ward that you would like to go work on, because I'm telling you, there's some of them just down to nothing but pure mud. You go across and you're just like, that's fine, going across them. So I would like to have feedback from you all of what streets you want me to concentrate on at this time, because I know right now, if I were to fix all 11 streets, and I know you don't want to hear this, but we're looking over $325,000.
You're right, we don't air it.
I'm sorry, you can tell that to your public here in a little bit.
Wow.
And that's just an estimate, you know? But I think there's some of the stuff we can do in-house, and taking care of the spots that are spongy. But it's still going to. And the one that's in, we'll just say it's in Ward 4 there, office over there. I hope you will win across that road, but that place is pretty well a mess. And that one there's gonna take at least a couple of weeks to straighten back up and get some ditches back in it. And then take care of some of the soft spots. Well, probably 60% of soft spots in that right now.
I
If I'm wrong,
I think-
but it's called a sheep's foot that we have to compact it. Yeah, it's called a sheep's foot. But it's gonna be either getting contractors in and use a sheep foot, or we can just go rent one of those. So there's a lot of expense. I just want you all, I hope you went and looked at it. And Debbie, the Madison.
Yeah, I've been on that.
The one I was talking about, Madison, is, if you go up Burnside, it's the one on the right going out that way. I mean, it's.
I think when you're looking at these, I think you have to look at ones that are most heavily trafficked. Like, I know they all need fixed, but I think, you have to focus on the ones that experience the most traffic on them. Because if they're just gonna get worse and worse, the more
Mhm.
vehicles that go on them. It's like Steven's the winner tonight, he's not here.
What's that?
So it looks like Steven's the winner tonight and he's not here.
Yeah.
He's got the most.
he's got quite a few of them.
Yeah.
If you look at Pleasant Street and Central Drive, I mean, and the Mound, I know when you go up Mound, there's two houses at the bottom and one clear up on top, which is Mrs. Putter's. Wow. I mean, it's just almost nothing but.
Hmm.
I've looked at the idea of maybe possibly thinking about this, and it's something y'all might want to think about. Is maybe putting tar and chip down on some of these roads.
About that.
And we might be able to do that, but it can't be done at this time of year. It's gonna have to be a little bit warm.
I don't know that. I don't know that I'm familiar.
Tar and chip.
Tar chip, it's like the shavings.
Oh, okay.
It's what they do in the country, like
Basically,
country
what it
roads.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
All
you
right.
get the Street ready and you just layer the
Yeah.
tar in there and you come through with the dump truck. You start grading off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I got you.
limestone chips, they're, maybe a quarter inch and then it just filters down and then out. And
And then hardens.
it'll
Yeah.
basically over about 6 months, then it'll form to where it's almost like. That is a cheaper way to go, but I'm not sure it's a good one. There's been some of the streets, I'll be honest with you, that like Debbie said, we don't use all the time. Whoever said that, I think that would maybe be a way. But,
Like Edward Street,
okay.
like Edward Street.
Yeah, Edwards would be a really good one up there because you could do that. It's all level. And you straighten out the ditches on both sides. You could tar that thing and go through there with shell and then you could drop that. You'd have to keep it closed for, a day or so.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, those are cheaper ways to do this. Now, the street, to be honest with you, the street that's on, yeah, Stevens Ward, Pratt Street, that over there. I don't think we'll be able to do that, but there is a lot of sponging in that. But when we get to that streets like that, and I'm talking with Jay about, and my recommendation is we put base 2 down instead of going to the wearing that we're putting out there now and making it smooth. We put a little rougher, base on it and then hold it on more because it's got a little bit more figure. They hold together.
And that,
It'll still be smooth, but it'll just be bigger rocks in the whole
Mhm.
time.
so it looks like maybe Moss, Edward, Mall would be good candidates for that tar and chip. Other than Olive,
Olive would not.
right, because it gets too much traffic.
Definitely because it's kind of flat.
Right, okay.
Anything if we could get something we'll be put tire down and as we're raising the bed and just scattering it out through. Anything that's up on the hillside, somebody knows about to do.
Right. And well, anything that's on a hillside, you're going to need paved for the plow truck anyways.
First part of that. Hey.
Yeah.
Trying to chips gonna work over the paved.
Well, and what I just said, when it was started up on the flat, and go around every evening. And just like some of them, like Marty's talking about, we do have, brick underneath all this. And once that starts cracking, the blacktop starts cracking, then the water goes down and the moisture and everything goes down in it. The salt goes down and it starts loosening up.
Right.
You all remember the bricks we put in there was sand. So it's moving. And we're a good example of that is look where Mike and all his officers pull in at the city building.
Yeah.
You see these dips in there? That's what we're talking. But yeah, the hillside on Edward Street would have to be paved. But once we got it on the flat, no reason why we get to do it talking to.
I'm good in Ward 1 with you just using your judgment and make your selection of my streets. I think we have a lot of our streets done. A lot of our streets are in very good shape in Ward 1, and I'm good with you making my decisions. And I appreciate it. Mhm.
Comments for Ward 3 and 4?
Appreciate it too, Mike. I'll give it with my word. You'll go with me? I appreciate it. I said I'll go with you on my word.
Okay. All right, next, reports of city council. I just encourage everyone to watch the West Virginia legislature page for bills that are yet to be introduced and follow the path of those that have already been introduced. I think I sent out an email regarding Walmart's response to annexation. Rachel said she had spoken with corporate and they have some questions that she's going to formulate that they'd like answers to. And then last on my list is the comprehensive plan. When it was presented to council, there were some additions that needed to be done. And those will be made and will be kicked back to the planning commission at their next meeting. And then once they're reviewed and hopefully approved, then that plan will come back before this council again for approval. Word 1.
That planning commission meeting, it's listed on
Yeah.
the first page. Okay. Well, that one's done too, I think, isn't it? Well, second of all, it's working. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for everything that you do. I think we have a great team of dedicated people and who wake up every day and make Weston a better place. And I appreciate it. The only other thing that I have is the barn dance that's coming up on March 22nd at West Hall. It looks to be really fun. You don't have to know how to square dance. Just show up. They will teach you how. You learn how. We'll have her for adults is $10. Students and try to talk louder. Students and veterans and seniors are free admission that night. Like I said, we'll have some light refreshments. I think that everyone would have a good time. Come out and enjoy some folk music and learn how to do some folk dance. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Word 3.
He's still talking about the barn dance.
I know.
Right here.
Barn
I'm
dance.
excited about barn dance.
I would also too like to thank the staff for their hard work. I'm glad to see everybody's well and hopefully over all the sickness that has gone around. As well as I hope the citizens are doing a lot better because I know the flu A has been really bad. I'd like to thank Freddie Potter for coming and doing what he's doing to help improve our community and and the citizens. I'd also like to thank Mr. Connor for showing up, and I'm really excited. They can tell you I have been an advocate for the new LED lights. I have said our city has been dark and we need to brighten it up a little bit. So I appreciate you coming and meeting us. And there is a street light cover in beside the road on Spring Street, by the way. It fell off the light, so it is laying in the right by Pageant's house. It's there. I should have threw it in my car and brought it to you tonight, but I didn't get here. I would also like to thank everybody who attended the recent fundraiser for the Glass Museum. We made about $6,000 on that, and that completely goes to help fund the Glass Museum and their utilities and keep the lights on to that nonprofit. Moving forward, we're getting closer to spring, as we're all aware. And as Mike said, we hope the bad weather's behind us, but I hope we are looking to our this year's spring cleanup. And I would really like to see Marty, if possible. I know you've been working hard on the demolitions, but if you can go around and maybe the houses that were having some reports about debris and stuff in the yard, if you can maybe give them a warning, and then we can tell them, hey, here's a spring cleanup, bring your stuff, or tell us and we'll come get it. Because but I think we hit them hard there with, you need to get this cleaned up. Here's the date, get your stuff to the road. We can't make it much easier for them than that. So, just moving forward, watching the things in Charleston, hoping that, our fire fee ends up being protected. And we appreciate Jimmy going down there. And with that, I will turn it to Ward 4.
Thank you, Debbie. I also appreciate and thank our guests for being here tonight. Thank all the city staff for what you do. With that, I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
Under one of those, because I didn't get one.
Okay.
I know that you talking to Joe and asked Joe, but you want to get there, and that's what I do.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
bring
Sure.
it up.
I will do that.
As soon as you get it.
Yeah, it's a 5-page thing. I can give you one of it right now.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet, dear.